In Florida, the state that you are a resident of, there's an abortion-related amendment on the ballot to overturn the 6-week ban in Florida. How are you going to vote on that?
Well, I think the 6 week is too short. It has to be more time, and so and I've told them that I want more weeks.
So you'll vote in favor of the amendment?
I'm voting that I am going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks.
Voting yes or no on Amendment 4 in Florida.
So I think 6 weeks, you need more time than 6 weeks. I've disagreed with that right from the early primaries. When I heard about it, I disagreed with it. At the same time, the Democrats are radical because the 9 months is just a ridiculous situation. So I'll be voting no for that reason.
How many times can a flip-flop-flip before a flip-flop-flip, or however that goes? I don't even know if that's a flip-flop anymore. Maybe that's mean to flip-flops. Maybe it's more like a pretzel, a soft one, squishy one, whatever you want to call it. That's Donald Trump. In year 9 is the leader of what once was the Republican Party, now more like a MAGA movement. Still out loud and before the cameras trying to figure out just what his position really is on the issue of abortion. But it is a fact that he appointed the justices who overturned Roe versus Wade, a fact he can't run from. And with that last answer from Trump, that he's going to vote no on Florida's Amendment 4, Trump has confirmed that a draconian 6-week abortion ban, a time at which most women don't know they're pregnant, is good enough for him to support. Joining our coverage, President of Reproductive Freedom for All, Mini Timuraju. April's back with us. I mean, Mini, some of what has benefited Trump is the fog machine, the blur. I think it's important that he not be allowed to say whatever. I mean, the truth is he's the reason American women are now dying of sepsis in public bathrooms. He's the reason women are infertile because they can't access basic reproductive health care. He's the reason men and women who are physicians have backup plans in case they're arrested for providing health care for women. He's the reason abortion is illegal now, and he's the reason Republicans are struggling in so many elections. What do you want to see happen with this latest rhetorical mishmash from him?
You know, I think what we've seen over the last few years has been an effort on our side to really define Donald Trump on this issue. And since he picked J.D. Vance, the definition has just gotten clearer, right? You've got 2 incredibly misogynistic, anti-women candidates on the top of their ticket for the GOP. So one of the refreshing things about the coverage in the last 72 hours has been how clear-eyed our friends in the press, activists, candidates, the Harris-Walz campaign have been about making it very explicit that the message stays the same. Donald Trump will say and do anything to distract from his disastrous record on reproductive freedom. He cannot be trusted. What you can trust are the facts, as you just laid out. He appointed the justices. He is responsible for this crisis. And not only that, he's bragged about it, and he wants to punish women and doctors. And that seems to be coming up very clearly with voters. There's a new New York Times piece, a poll about how women under 45 are picking abortion now as their top issue, even over the economy, and that there's a 20-point margin of favorability for Kamala Harris over Trump on abortion.
You know, April, I feel like some of what the media got wrong with Trump was looking at Trump as a politician in a time capsule. I had Fred Trump on today, and Trump describing the men and women who died in service of the nation as suckers and losers wasn't a blip. It was part of a long line that started with a podiatrist writing him a BS note saying he had bone spurs, so he didn't have to serve this country.
Yeah.
His views on overturning Roe aren't a blip either. They're part of, you know, grab women in the P word, because when you're famous, they, quote, let you do it. The misogyny is the point. It's not a bug. It's a feature of who Donald Trump is.
So, yeah, Donald Trump right now is in the kitchen cooking spaghetti, taking the noodles out and throwing them up against the wall to see which one sticks. And that's the problem. He is desperate right now. In this abortion battle, he is losing. He was losing when Roe v. Wade was overturned. And he said he did that. He was losing at that time, and he continues to lose even more so. And Nicole, if we look at the polling and also the numbers of women who are historically registering to vote in this election process, looking at the numbers of women who are running, particularly Black women who are running to Kamala Harris, Abortion is that issue that the Democrats have. That's that number one issue that they can rely on, that Donald Trump is failing on. So the American public, and we have gone through this for the last 2 years or so, the American public has said that they should not be tampering with the historic abortion issue. Now states are dealing with it, and it's creating havoc all over the place. And as you said, there are women going through sepsis, being traumatized physically because doctors cannot operate on them as they're miscarrying because of laws, and they're scared to go to court. But Donald Trump is at the center of this, and all the things that he has said about abortion rights and how a woman should carry their child or not carry their child.
Minnie, one of the conversations you and I have been having for years now is about bringing everyone in. And you see this reflected in how Vice President Harris talks about this issue, both as President Biden's point person and now as the nominee of her party, that if you think abortion doesn't affect you because you're a man or you're not interested in having kids, or you're wrong, because this worldview, this Trump, Vance, Project 2025 worldview will come for everyone eventually. Maybe it isn't abortion, but they're coming for IVF. Maybe it isn't abortion or IVF, but it's birth control. Maybe it isn't either of those, but it's a way of making clear that it isn't just about a single procedure. It's about a second class of humans that includes all women. And I wonder what you think about sort of taking this message and broadening it.
Yeah, I think it's a really smart point. Look, we now know that we can't win these elections without independents and Republicans crossing over. And we've seen in every state where we've had an abortion-related ballot referendum that we have that happening. So, number one, I think voters, not just women, but also men, are seeing the consequences of these bans, not just on contraception and IVF, but in states like Georgia, you're seeing entire swaths of the state where there are no OBGYNs to serve the general population. You're seeing healthcare deserts. You're seeing doctors leaving states. You're seeing young adults not choosing states to go to college because of abortion bans. So the consequences are broadening. But I also think what's interesting right now, and an important point for us to make, is that Donald Trump can't be trusted and that he is beholden to his base. He's made a deal with these evangelicals. He cannot wriggle out of it. So when he tries to wriggle out of Project 2025, we can point to this last 48 hours, 72 hours of interaction. You know, he came out and tried to fudge his opinion on Florida. They came right after him and he flip-flopped right back. So they've got him in their grasp. So no matter what you think of Donald Trump, there's a broader lesson here, which is he's beholden to the extreme elements of his party.